murders and political plots she could handle. Yappy dogs, shopping trips to DuPont Circle, and the carefully pinned and tucked exteriors of Washington's political housewives made her twitchy. That sort of fabricated perfection was unnatural, creepy even. So when an environmental activist had approached Congressman Dickinson's wife, criticized her for the mink draped carefully around her shoulders, Georgia had hesitated. It hadn't helped that every time Mrs. Dickinson deigned to acknowledge Georgia, it was with a haughty stare that conveyed in a single dismissive sweep that Georgia, with her blue-collar attire and military bearing, was nothing short of a cumbersome burden to be borne with ill-tempered irritation and poorly feigned manners. The distaste was mutual, and for a split second, Georgia had wanted to see how airborne paint and polished perfection mixed. In hindsight, letting the congressman's wife become a walking Jackson Pollock exhibition probably wasn't the way to go. But then again, Georgia prided herself on precision, not tact. Which, apparently, was the problem. According to her boss, it wasn't enough for Georgia to keep her clients alive and well. Oh no. She also needed them to like her. Specifically, she needed this client to like her. Ethan had made it very clear that if she couldn't manage to make a personal connection with her next assignment, she'd be looking for a new job. She had to admit that given Mrs. Dickinson's completely overblown reaction, really, it wasn't as if she'd been shot. It was a minor miracle Ethan hadn't fired her already. No doubt she had good old-fashioned nepotism to thank for that. And maybe just a smidge of guilt. Staring down the barrel of a last-chance assignment, Georgia figured it was probably too much to hope she'd be assigned to a client with a personality. Maybe someone who, like the building they lived in, turned their imperfections into strengths. She'd do her job regardless, but damn, it would be nice to actually respect a client. She used to feel like her job mattered, like the people she worked with made a difference in the world. Like she made a difference. But lately it had all become so routine, as hollow and vacant as the carefully crafted smile she'd practiced that morning. People liked others who smiled. The internet said so. And, okay, maybe Georgia wasn't entirely sure she still liked her job, but she was damn certain she needed it. The last 9 months had been a revolving door of uninvited change. She didn't think she had it in her to start a new career as well. What was she even qualified for? She had no college education, and somehow she doubted excellent marksmanship and experience with explosives rounded out a resume. Shit. She'd be lucky if she landed a job flipping burgers. "Good afternoon, Mr. Somerton," called the security guard stationed behind a small desk. "It's nice to see you again." Interesting that the doorman knew Ethan on sight. Apparently, this job had a personal angle he'd neglected to mention. That should make things much easier. "You too, Trevor." Ethan turned toward the bank of elevators, then headed for a small cluster of overstuffed seating. "Thanks for coming on such short notice," he said to Georgia as he gestured to a chair and took a seat. "You didn't exactly phrase it as a request." Ethan had called, instructed her where and when to meet him, and hung up. Since she'd been sitting in her studio apartment practicing, "Would you like fries with that?" Georgia hadn't argued. "Yes, well, you weren't my first call and hardly my first choice. Parker excels at running off the bodyguards I send, and Davis, who Parker at least tolerates, is out of pocket for the next few weeks. Ryan was supposed to be here, but he's stuck in New York due to weather." Ethan grimaced. "Obviously, I'm desperate." "I'm flattered." "You should be," Ethan barked. "Right now, my desperation and Parker's tendency to be difficult are the only things keeping you employed. I suggest you find a way to play nice with him.